incredibly inspiring. During those weeks, I'm just a human spring, you know. I never sit down. I stay up till I can't sit up anymore.
Hollywood icon James Brolin might just be facing one of the toughest moments of his life. After decades in the spotlight and a love story admired by millions, he could be stepping away quietly with a heavy heart. He is doing this because of his wife's alleged diagnosis. What exactly is this diagnosis, and how long will he be away for? Join us in this video as we explore the details that may have contributed to this heartbreaking decision. The goodbye no one saw coming. Inside Streisand and Brolin's private struggles. Barbra Streisand has captivated audiences around the world for decades with her work in film, music, and television. With an Oscar and an Emmy under her belt, her legacy is well established in the entertainment industry. But away from the stage lights and red carpets, Streisand has been fighting a quieter battle, not only for herself, but for millions of women all over the world. Streisand's emphasis has changed away from performance and into activism, particularly for women's heart health. The fire was lit years ago when her mother was diagnosed with heart disease, a condition that disproportionately affects women yet often flies under the radar. In an interview with People magazine, Streisand recalled, "15 years ago, I read a story in the New York Times about gender differences in heart health. I was shocked to learn that more women are dying from cardiovascular disease than from all cancers combined." What stunned her even more was the unequal treatment women receive. Despite similar symptoms to men, women are often dismissed or misdiagnosed. "It just never made sense to me that women and men weren't treated equally," she said. The numbers back up her concern. In the US, 1 in 6 women has coronary heart disease. In the UK, over 3.5 million women live with the condition, and 77 women die from it every single day. Yet research shows that women are half as likely to receive life-saving procedures like coronary revascularization, and even preventative medications like statins are prescribed less frequently to them. For so many years, heart disease was thought of as a man's disease, Streisand said. Women with similar or more unique symptoms were often misdiagnosed as having digestive problems or being emotionally stressed. Determined to change the narrative, Streisand has used her platform to push for research, education, and awareness. Her foundation recently launched a campaign aimed at sounding the alarm on this crisis. It is very important that young women are aware that they are experiencing heart disease at increasing rates, she warned. But her mission isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. Streisand has lived with tinnitus since the age of 9, a condition that causes persistent ringing in the ears. She kept it a secret for years, ignorant that there was treatment available. She didn't seek help until she reached maturity. She learned how to control her stress and symptoms with the help of an audiologist, but the path was lengthy and solitary. Although not life-threatening, the disease has had a long-term impact on her health. And for James Brolin, witnessing his wife deal with these invisible challenges has been both heartbreaking and eye-opening. As her health deteriorates, so does the possibility that their relationship may enter a new and more challenging chapter. James is ever ready to stand by his wife. But who exactly is he, and how did he rise to fame? Let's find out. From shy dreamer to Hollywood star, the making of James Brolin. Before James Brolin became a household name, before the red carpets and primetime celebrity, he was simply Craig Kenneth Bruderlin, a quiet youngster growing up in Westwood Village, Los Angeles. Born on July 18, 1940, he was the eldest of 5 children raised by Helen Sue, a housewife, and Henry Hurst Bruderlin, a building contractor. But even in those early days, something about him stood out. As a child, Brolin was more fascinated with animals and model airplanes than with acting. He spent hours making and flying his models, demonstrating remarkable focus and creativity. However, everything changed in the mid-1950s when a teenage Brolin found James Dean's irresistible allure on the big screen. That passion ignited a flame, and he began producing short films with an 8mm camera, unaware that this unassuming hobby would affect his entire future. The real turning point came thanks to an unexpected dinner guest. When his parents invited a film director over for a meal, Brolin met fellow teen and aspiring actor Ryan O'Neal. The two quickly bonded and eventually attended University High School together. O'Neal, who had already begun his Hollywood career, suggested Brolin to a casting agency. But acting did not come easily to Brolin. His intense shyness frequently got in the way. Nonetheless, O'Neal and his family encouraged him to keep going. Brolin attended Santa Monica City College after graduating from high school in 1958, before going on to UCLA to study drama. By 1960, his perseverance had paid off when he signed a contract with 20th Century Fox. He started as a background performer in Sandra Dee movies, quietly learning the ropes behind the scenes. A guest spot on Bus Stop in 1961 opened the door to more television work, from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea to Love, American Style, and even 3 guest appearances on Batman, where he acted alongside Adam West and Burt Ward. To genuinely enter the spotlight, Brolin had to redefine himself. At the age of 20, he changed his surname from Bruderlin to Brolin, a decision that felt fitting as he began to forge his own identity in a competitive sector. Around this time, he also met a young Clint Eastwood, another actor on the rise, and continued picking up small roles in films like Take Her, She's Mine, and Fantastic Voyage. Yet success was slow and not guaranteed. His first lead role in The Cape Town Affair in 1967 flopped at the box office, and Fox eventually let him go. But Brolin didn't give up. Just 2 years later, he landed a co-starring role on Marcus Welby, MD, playing a young doctor, a role that would finally bring him recognition and mark the beginning of his long-respected career. So, how did James and Barbara's love story start? Keep watching to find out. Love when they least expected it. By the time James Brolin and Barbara Streisand met, neither of them was looking for love, at least not seriously. It was July 1st, 1996, and both were in their mid-50s, battle-worn from past relationships. Streisand had been divorced for decades. Brolin, just coming off his second marriage, was $1.4 million in debt. The odds were against them. The blind date nearly didn't happen at all. Their mutual friend, Linda Bruckheimer, had already canceled twice. That night, Brolin was actually supposed to meet another woman, but changed his mind at the last minute. Nervous and unsure, he popped a Valium before walking into the room that would change his life. Streisand, for her part, had low expectations. She was told to expect a rugged man with a beard. Instead, she found Brolin clean-shaven for a film role. Her first words to him? "Who messed up your hair?" She didn't mean it cruelly, but the remark landed like a slap. His previous wife hadn't commented on his appearance once in 11 years. For a moment, Brolin considered walking away. But then, he looked into her eyes. Whatever he saw made him stay. They ended up talking for 6 hours straight. Time seemed to bend around them. At 3:27 a.m., their conversation finally came to a pause, and Streisand asked for a lock of his hair. She kept it. Today, that same lock is framed in their home next to a handwritten note from that night. As fate would have it, they discovered they were born just 3.4 miles apart in Los Angeles, yet had taken such different paths. Streisand later admitted that just 17 minutes into their first meeting, she knew something was different. After 28 blind dates in 3 years, this one stood out. Brolin fell hard. He proposed just 87 days later in a hot air balloon floating above Napa Valley, offering her a dazzling 3.9-carat diamond worth $250,000. She said no. After a painful past engagement, Streisand had made a rule: no commitments before 2 years. Still, Brolin didn't give up. He tried again on New Year's Eve, 1997, this time in New York. Surrounded by 14 close friends, he played her favorite childhood song and got down on one knee. Again, she turned him down, not because she didn't love him, but because she needed time. The third time was the charm. It was March 15, 1998, and James Brolin decided to try again, this time during a quiet picnic at Barbra Streisand's Malibu home. But instead of a grand gesture or an expensive ring, he handed her a 24-page handwritten letter. Inside were 98 heartfelt reasons why they belonged together. She said yes. What Brolin didn't know at the time, and what Streisand only revealed years later in her memoir, was that when they first met, she had been secretly engaged to another man. It wasn't until their 5th date that she broke off that engagement, choosing a love that felt entirely different, the kind that comes once in a lifetime. They were married exactly 2 years to the day after their first date, July 1st, 1998. The wedding was more than a ceremony. It was a celebration of timing, faith, and second chances. Held at Streisand's Malibu estate, it cost an estimated $1.4 million and was wrapped in secrecy. There were 37 security guards, a no-fly zone over the property, and ironclad NDAs, each carrying a $250,000 penalty. The ceremony began at precisely 8:47 p.m., the exact minute they had first met. Every detail was carefully thought out. 15,000 white roses and orchids were flown in from 4 different countries. The guest list included Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, the Clintons, and Marlon Brando. Streisand walked down the aisle in a gown with a 27-foot train. Brolin wore a tailored Armani suit with diamond cufflinks. Barbra had even written a song for the ceremony, "I've Finally Found You," which was performed by a children's choir from her own foundation. It was personal, poetic, and unforgettable. At 11:43 p.m., Brolin gave a speech. It was only 273 words long, but Streisand had it framed. In it, he said, "Every night is a new adventure. Sleeping is a waste of time. I can't wait to see her again in the morning." It wasn't just romantic. It was honest. Brolin had battled insomnia for 27 years. But somehow, Streisand became his peace. She was the one who helped him sleep again. By the time they said, "I do," they had already spent 642 nights together, nights filled with poetry, late-night crossword puzzles, and shared memories they'd never spoken of before. It was a quiet kind of love, full of rituals that mattered only to them. Actor John Travolta later revealed that Brolin had kept a journal of every day they'd shared, planning to gift it to her on their 25th anniversary. In 2023, they finally reached that beautiful milestone together. Their love wasn't rushed. It was built slowly, thoughtfully, through patience and vulnerability. And in those quiet, meaningful moments, they began to write a love story neither of them had expected, one that would carry them through decades, and now into the most fragile chapter of their lives. But what kept their love strong behind closed doors for decades? Stay tuned to find out. Inside James Brolin and Barbra Streisand's unusual marriage rules that actually worked. From the very beginning of their marriage, James Brolin and Barbra Streisand made a decision most couples avoid. They kept their finances separate. They called it bifurcation. The idea came from Brolin himself, who had lost $3 million in a painful second divorce. He didn't want money to get tangled up with love again, so they each kept their own bank accounts. Streisand was worth $400 million at the time. Brolin had $60 million. To keep things balanced, they even split their Tuesday night dinners down the middle. The only shared account they had was one with $800,000 for household expenses. In a 2023 interview, Brolin said the setup saved them from the kinds of money fights that tore other Hollywood couples apart. But it wasn't just about money. It was about respect. They honored each other's independence while building something deeply shared. That commitment was tested during the COVID-19 lockdown. While many couples cracked under the pressure, Brolin and Streisand fell in love all over again. They spent 425 nights in a row together, a record in their relationship. Each day began at 6:45 a.m. with meditation and breakfast. They completed 37 puzzles, one for each year they hoped to be married. They rewatched The Crown and Bridgerton, not once but twice, often dressing up and acting out the scenes for fun. They also wrote a 278-page journal, a private record of their thoughts, routines, and revelations. Brolin hinted that it might one day become a memoir. At the heart of their lockdown life was their $35,000 Swedish mattress, their so-called boardroom. It wasn't just a bed. It was a custom-designed space with adjustable support settings, compartments for paperwork, and pillows that transformed into laptop stands. Streisand even wrote songs for her 2018 album while lying there. They spent 4 to 6 hours a day on that mattress, making career decisions, dreaming up ideas, and simply being close. Their bedroom was soundproofed for $175,000, a quiet place where ideas and emotions could flow without the outside world creeping in. When arguments came, and they didn't shout or storm out. They walked, literally. They had a rule: no phones, deep breaths every 30 steps, and each of them walking in opposite directions around their 3.2-acre estate. After 17 minutes, they'd return and write down what they were feeling. They used this method at least 217 times. One fight over Streisand's book in 2019 led to 7 separate walks over 3 days. Even on vacations, they asked hotel staff to create separate walking paths. Brolin said it helped them find clarity, calm their thoughts, and listen to each other better. In a world full of noise, they built a quiet love, full of intention, patience, and a deep understanding. But how did Brolin go from husband to Hollywood cowboy again? Let's find out. Still in the saddle, James Brolin's comeback and cowboy roots. After years away from the spotlight, James Brolin is proving he's far from retired, and definitely still alive in more ways than one. He's back with a brand new Netflix series about families locked in a bitter fight over land, and fans are seeing a side of him that's both familiar and fresh. In the series, Brolin plays Cap Fuller, a crusty, no-nonsense ranch patriarch. And when asked if that role came naturally to him, he didn't hesitate. "I started out with Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers, and Gene Autry," Brolin said, smiling. "At 6 years old, I was already in a cowboy hat with a toy gun on my hip." That early fascination became real life when his father, a developer, moved the family from house to house, 14 in total, before Brolin even graduated. On one of those properties, he finally got his wish: 2 horses. "I had to clean up after them," he laughed, "but I learned how to take care of them too." His love for ranch life became permanent during the second year of Marcus Welby, MD. In the middle of the show's 7-year run, Brolin bought a ranch 4 hours away. Producers were stunned. They said, "What are you doing?" And I just told them, "This is my new life." So they condensed his filming schedule to just 3 or 4 days a week, giving him time to live the life he loved. His son, Josh Brolin, would grow up surrounded by 100 head of cattle and 65 horses. So yeah, Cap Fuller wasn't much of a stretch. But while Brolin shares the cowboy's grit, he's the opposite in spirit. Cap's angry, bitter. "That's not me. I'm a total optimist," he said. "My mom was the sweetest thing in the world. I never even learned to argue." Still, Brolin enjoys the challenge of playing someone so different. It's great to step into pain, into someone hurting. He's had plenty of roles over the years, but he doesn't chase them. When they asked me to play Reagan, I said no twice. I just didn't see it. But then they showed up at my house, asked me to read 20 minutes while they waited in the driveway, and I started to hear something in the voice. The rest, as they say, is history. Even with a legendary career under his belt, James Brolin isn't slowing down. In fact, he's shifting gears. Asked what roles he still dreams of, he didn't mention acting at all. Instead, he lit up about directing. "I've directed 2 Hallmark pictures, 3 movies, about 30 hours of TV," he said proudly. "Now I've got 4 projects in the works. I'm just waiting for the financing." And this time, he's staying behind the camera. "You're turning 85, the host noted. What's the key?" Brolin didn't hesitate. "Keep moving." His fitness regimen, led by trainer Laird Hamilton, sounds brutal. Water workouts, weights, saunas, and ice baths. But Brolin embraces it. His theory is, if your body hates it, that's what you want to do. He laughed. And then there's the other secret to his longevity: love. Even as he jokes about back pain and ice baths, Brolin's spark is undeniable. He's not just making a comeback, he's forging a whole new trail. So, what are your thoughts on James Brolin and his relationship with his wife? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.